Well, good afternoon, everyone. Since there is a lunch after my presentation, I'll try to be quick. Well, I'll present a bit about the work that I've been doing in SPEC regarding assisted vascular analysis for deep inferior epigastric perforators. I'll call them perforators from now on to be quick. So, a quick introduction. This work is related to breast cancer, and as much of us know, breast cancer is the most common cause of death from cancer in women worldwide. And even though there are some treatments that can be applied, like chemotherapy, radiotherapy, mastectomy, that is a surgery, is still very common nowadays, and it consists on removing a portion or a total part of the breast for both, we can say, cancer treatment or prevention. But the thing with the mastectomy is that it alters the shape and appearance of the breast, and sometimes the patients can look at themselves in the mirror and they don't feel satisfied with their appearance, and that affects them in a lot of ways in their lives, in self-esteem and quality of life, etc. And a way to prevent this is to make a breast reconstruction, and a possible breast reconstruction, a gold standard, I would say, surgery is the deep inferior epigastric perforator flap. It basically takes tissue from the abdomen part of the patient and puts it on the breast. But it needs to be specific for the patient. We need to analyze the perforators to see if they are good enough to take them from the abdomen to the breast. If they are not, it's not applicable. So a way to evaluate this is by analyzing CTAs or CTs for short. But that's very time consuming for the surgeons and the medical imaging teams. And this algorithm, the AB algorithm, tries to make it way faster in an automatic way, and partially also in a semi-automatic way. I'll explain next. Basically, the algorithm pipeline is here, and the imaging team or the user only needs to make the data loading, selects the CTA to be loaded, and then from the skin segmentation, that second step, until the sixth step, the fascia detection, everything is automatic. I'll show it later. And the only semi-automatic parts are 7 and 8 that the user needs to put a start and end input for each perforator, and also the report generation that will give some information about the perforators and other structures. So the data loading, nothing special. We take the raw CTA data and turn it into 1,000 field units with a formula that is displayed there. The segmentation of the skin is done slice by slice, and in the middle image we see a front-end plane view is then used on the next step, and this skin is segmented without considering the markers that are those spherical things that reflect that they appear completely blank on the CTA. So it also automatically detects the umbilicus using a horizontal gradient analysis. It calculates the most probable mask and the region. Also, it automatically detects the region of interest, taking in consideration the patient dimensions. I would say if it's, how can I say, if it's thinner, the area is smaller, it's the larger, it's a bit bigger on the lateral part. And it always considers, on the Z scale, it always considers 2 centimeters above the umbilicus and 10 centimeters below the umbilicus. That's some things that are written in some articles that I read, and the surgeons said it was good enough for them. So then to count the markers, it's relatively easy. I use the high opacity filter. Basically, I collect everything that's maximum opacity, like the bones and the the markers. They are the maximum opacity too. And using the skin without the markers, I try to see what is above the skin, because they are the markers. They are the only thing that have maximum opacity that is above the skin. The bone, for consequence, is below. It's not considered on this part. And I count them and give them their positions. So there's the fascia, that is basically a conjunctive tissue above the rectus abdominis, basically the abdominal muscle. It's important for the next step. I'll go there in a bit, but basically I take the region of interest, apply an Otsu filter, consider the highest filter part and segment it with and calculate the contours in each slice. Then I put each slice in a frontal view and apply. Oh, sorry, I should be doing this. And apply a median filter to make it smoother and get this appearance that we see in the fascia single slice. So I also ran some speed tests from the automatic part. We can see that for smaller volumes with 200 something slides, it takes around 15 seconds, and for larger ones, it can take about 40 seconds. It's good considering the manual alternative. And for the semi-automatic part, as I was saying before, we give him 2 points, a starting point and an ending point near the fascia for this part that is the subcutaneous part. There are 2 parts for the perforator, that is the one that is above the muscle and the one that is below the muscle. We have to give 2 points in each part. This one is the subcutaneous, above the muscle. And in this part, the perforator is segmented and the caliber is also calculated in 3 different spots represented by the orange lines. They are basically, how can I say, transversal, I mean, for the direction between the points, the intermediate points, basically. And for this part, that's it. Then we compare the algorithm results with the ground truth, that it's basically the caliber measured by the surgeons with these stainless steel measuring gauge. We had 28 ground truths, and there is a thing that it's important to note, that we are using images and they are measuring directly on the patient. The problem with the image is that there is a resolution, and for the volumes that I had the ground truth, I calculated the mean box cell edge size, and it was around 0.88 millimeters. We are saying that, I mean, if I get one box cell wrong, I am possibly going wrong for 0.88 millimeters, and we are talking about vessels that sometimes measure 1 millimeter. But regarding the results, it was relatively good. The imaging team that measured the same ground truths obtained slightly better results than the algorithm, but it's easier to explain here. Basically, the root mean squared error of the imaging team was 0.46 millimeters, and my algorithm had 0.57 millimeters. We are talking something about the 0.1 millimeter scale in terms of root mean squared error. And by also comparing the results of the imaging team with the algorithm, we found that the algorithm slightly underestimates the value of the calibers when compared with the imaging team. But also we found that the algorithm results are closer to the imaging team than they are to the ground truth. And that makes sense since we are both using an image modality, and the ground truth is measured in surgery and not in the same image, I would say. So there is the ABA plugin, basically what the surgeons and the imaging team can use to basically run the algorithm. They only select the ABA part, and then they click on the button that says segmentation, and it gives all the results that are presented there. I can do it. Basically, skin, the umbilicus, fascia, and the region of interest that is a rectangle. I don't know if it's very visible. I found it. So regarding the subcutaneous part, it's basically selecting which perforator we want to segment. In this case, the first perforator 1. Select the starting point, the ending point near the fascia, and run the subcutaneous algorithm, this button, and it segments that part. Basically, the intramuscular is pretty much the same. So, but inside the muscle. Also, there is a report that is generated by simply clicking the button that says generate report, and it gives information regarding everything, the perforators that were segmented. It gives the caliber, the coordinates in which they intersect the fascia relative to the umbilicus. The tortuosity, it's also relevant. They tend to not extract very tortuous vessels. The closer it is to 1, the tortuosity, the better. The closer to 0, okay, you get it, the worst. It also gives the vessel direction, if it's going up towards the umbilicus, if it's going away, in the subcutaneous path length. So in conclusion, this algorithm and the algorithms in general are very good, very good, I would say very useful at helping the surgeons and the imaging team to make them more efficient with their time, because we are talking about something that can be run in a span of a few minutes. The longest case that I segmented everything, even with a semi-automatic part, it took me around 10 minutes to do it. And when someone is segmenting it manually, it takes a bit more time. And besides that, the algorithm gives the segmentations, not only the measurements. And these segmentations are later used are then applied to augmented reality, that it was already tested in the Champalimaud Foundation. There's a thing that I didn't say in the beginning, but the current algorithm does not use anything machine learning. It only uses some classic computer vision methods like the Otsu filter that I showed, and some other methods. And a possible improvement would be to implement some machine learning to automatically segment the perforators. And thanks for listening.